Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Round Pass. This is going to be a full one, guys. It's not going to be a shorty. It's not a mini. This is a full episode.
When was the last time we did one of these? Because, I'm pretty sure we recorded some long ones for, our Wimbledon podcasts, but also, we didn't plan those to be that long. So this is the first planned long episode since before Wimbledon. The actual long episode since Wimbledon. But at least it's not a mini pod. At least it's not. Yes. You never know what you're going to get. You are settled with Anastasia and Nick today. Normal service has been resumed.
Yes, it has. The schedule has been wonky. I was thinking the other day, when was the last time we did a Meet the Professionals, which was something we were doing at the beginning of every month for a while, but the schedule has just been wonky, but we're getting back to normal scheduled programming.
You say this, Anastasia, we are, and this is something that tennis has done to us, we are recording in the middle of a tournament. We are recording on a Sunday on the last 16 of a tournament, and it's, does happen sometimes. We are going to be looking at storylines from the first week of a tournament that, by the way, ends on Thursday.
Yes. And we're usually a podcast that we don't care about the results of the final. We don't mind recording without the results of the final, but usually the final is happening on the Sunday that we're recording. No. It's the round of 16. We're nowhere near the finals. It is a wonky.
Next time we record, we're going to have to give you the storylines from 2 1000s.
Yes, we are. It's, tennis. Maybe we should do an episode on scheduling. I feel like that's what this means. We need to do an episode on scheduling because it's constantly changing and it is in a flux period now. So maybe it is a good time to kind of give new fans and our listeners an idea of what the schedule was, what it is now, and what it might be in the future, because it's definitely a topic of conversation for sure. But for this episode, welcome. Grab a beverage. I have coffee. I also have water here. But in this episode, we're going to be talking about a few things. We're going to be talking about Canada, which is the Masters 1000 level event that's happening right now. We are also going to be talking about Cincinnati, which is coming up literally tomorrow. If you're listening to this on Monday, when the episode is out, Cincinnati is on Tuesday, which is tomorrow. Also, we're going to be looking at some U.S. Open news. Yes, the U.S. Open is U.S. opening. It's really just doing its thing. So yeah, and I want to just say this up front, because I usually leave this to the end, but some people say I should say it up front. Wherever you're listening to us, whatever podcast app, anything, please give us a 5-star rating if you're loving what you're listening to. If you're watching us on YouTube, like and subscribe. If you are also listening to this on YouTube, you will see that we now have memberships. We will talk about that at the end of this episode, so stay till the end. That was a big moment. Also, thank you for listening and watching on YouTube, because it's because of you that we got memberships turned on. So yeah. But yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about this episode. So stay tuned after this little break. We'll be back with more.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
Hey guys, welcome to Giggly Squad.
A place where we make fun of everything, but most importantly, ourselves.
I'm Paige DeSorbo.
I'm Hannah Berner.
Welcome to the squad.
Giggly Squad started on Summer House when we were giggling during an inappropriate time.
But of course, we can't be managed.
So we decided to start this podcast to continue giggling.
We will make fun of pop culture news,
we're watching,
fashion trends, pep talks where we give advice,
mental health moments,
and games and guests.
Listen to Giggly Squad on Acast or wherever you get your podcasts.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.
Oh, Canada. Nick, how's Canada been for you?
Well, I've been watching as much as I can, but we are very much in the point in the season where I can only watch half the tennis that is happening, which is generally like anything that happens before sort of, I guess, 6 p.m. local time.
Yeah, that's a time zone thing for you, right?
Yeah, time zone is the problem. Then I have to sleep.
Do you have to sleep, Nick? Is that necessary?
I do, because otherwise I will lose my job. And it's one of those things that unless we get a whole bunch of people decide they want to financially support us, I can't make a living doing this podcast. So yes, I do need to do that. That being said, I do make calculated decisions over what I can and can't stay up for, or like allow myself to do that maybe once every so often. So for like today, as we're recording, I'm currently debating whether or not to stay up for Iga Swiatek against Clara Towson. That's going to be happening. But yeah, so that's kind of the situation I'm in. But like, I think Canada's had some interesting points. I've definitely been watching more of the women in Montreal than the men in Toronto, which I've also been getting the wrong way round for like several days until I realised I've been getting it the wrong way around of which cities they were in. But I've been watching more of that because I feel like there's, again, pretty standard for the women. There's been a lot of kind of big clashes happening early on, and there's been some real epics happening. But yeah, overall, Canada's fun, and I think it's an underappreciated tournament.
Yeah. It's been fun. It was pretty slow entry for me because I was coming right from City Open and I needed a moment to just breathe. So I took a few days from tennis and I slowly started getting into it. Just like you, I've enjoyed the women's storyline more. But yes, Canada is very interesting in the sense that it's a 1,000 level event that's set in two cities. So the women play in one city and the men play in another, and they alternate cities every year. Currently this year, the women are in Montreal and the men are in Toronto. I've never been. People have been asking us actually on Instagram. I actually just got a message today asking us if we were there. We are not there. Maybe one day we will be able to go to Canada to experience the event for ourselves. But a friend of ours is there. Steven of the Slice Tennis Podcast is there. He is Canadian, so he's at the tournament and he attended the Toronto event for the first time. So he's at the men's event and he sent us a little voice note about the Toronto tournament.
So I just got back from the Toronto National Bank Open Masters 1000, and that was my first time at the tournament. And yeah, it's a great venue for being in the action because it's a small venue, I would say. So starting with the location, it's obviously in Toronto, but it's not close to downtown. So it can be a 30 to 45 minute to an hour Uber ride from downtown. The best way that they promote to get there is through the train, like the SkyTrain or the TCC, I think it's called. So that's a pretty good way to get there. But on site, it's a very small footprint for a Masters 1000. I think it would take you like at max 7 or so minutes to walk the entire length. But as it turns out, the smallness of the footprint gives pretty up close viewing on some of the outer courts. So there's the match courts, there's center court, there's grandstand, there's court 1, and then there's kind of 2 other courts that I saw matches get played on, and those courts, it feels like you're just at your local club watching. I was watching Colton Smith play Lerner Tien with 100 other people on the side court. So that's very cool, and that's one of the benefits I think you get at a smaller venue like this for Masters 1000. One of the perks of the 96 player expanded draws are that there's more matches. So even in the early rounds, there's matches like that were on an outer court early in the day when there wasn't as many people around, and you get to see some pretty sweet tennis. The practice situation, like there's practices on all those matches early on in the tournament there's practices on all those courts, early on in the tournament that I saw. But the main kind of practice, court setup is similar to the US Open, where you can't walk all the way around it, so it's not ideal in that way. There's kind of 4 or 5 courts deep, and the people on the farthest courts you can't really see, like you're not very close to, so it's not ideal from a practice court setup like that. But the main stadium is not huge either, so you can, I think there's lots of good tickets in that setup. It's open, it can be swirly with the wind. Players were talking about that. And it's fast conditions. So big serving is, rewarded there. But in general, yeah, the setup for the fans is great. you can get around really easily because it's small. There's lots of food vendors, lots of activations, lots of brands, fairly typical setup there in that way. But it's just not a huge footprint. But it being in the city of Toronto, big city, lots to do there as well. So yeah, I recommend going to the tournament if you're in the area. It's awesome. You get to see the best players in the world. Not all of them this year, but hopefully more in the future. And if you can get center court tickets behind the baselines is where you want to be. And I think if you're up higher, it wouldn't matter too much. But definitely grandstand, court one have great viewing as well. And those side courts have some elite match viewing, which I don't think you really get at some of the other Masters 1000s. So that's kind of my overview of the facilities and the setup at the Toronto Masters 1000. Pretty good. Not the best in the world, but pretty good.
Okay, Nick, the biggest surprise for me from that voice note from Steven. Thank you, Steven, for leaving us a voice note about the tournament. I love getting these voice notes because it really does give you an idea of what these tournaments are like. I didn't expect him to say it was a small venue. I'm surprised by him saying how small it was.
Yeah, I'm not. First of all, it's not unheard of for 1,000 events to be held at smaller venues. Monte Carlo is an example on the ATP side. They don't have a women's event, but they do have a men's event, and that has a reputation for being a relatively small set of grounds. But also, it would explain why they don't have, or partially explain why, they don't have a tournament where both male and female players are at the same event at the same time. It's obviously a logistical thing of we can't fit everyone in one place, so we'll have to swap it around. And then it also gets around Canadian politics because Montreal and Toronto are just having competitions to who's the best out of the two cities. So I think it doesn't surprise me that he said that, but it is interesting that Stephen went into the benefits of it being so small, the fact you do have that kind of access to players up front. That maybe the downside is that it feels a bit crammed if there's a lot of people going, but I think there's the upside of you're not like walking everywhere too fast. You're kind of up close and personal. You can get to the matches you want to fairly quickly. There are advantages to this. And I also think it's kind of looking at bigger picture tennis stuff away from sort of the fan experience, which is ultimately what he's sharing. I think that holds hope for events that maybe want to have a 1,000. Like we've been talking for years about how could we do a grass court 1,000? Because the reality is that upgrading the 500 events that they already have isn't really plausible because they are too small. They are literally too small to have it could be combined. You could only do one of them. So there's immediately things of like, if you wanted to bring a German 1,000 back and have it on grass and just have the men in one city and the women in another, that would be a solution there. And I think it's a solution that maybe should be considered more often, especially as there might be more demand to hold big events on the calendar.
Right. Yeah, I did not think of that at all, but you're so right. Why have we not thought about that? Especially for grass in Germany specifically. There's so many grass tournaments in Germany. I feel like, why couldn't we turn Halle and Berlin into a 1,000 level event or something like that? That is so interesting. Yeah. I guess I was surprised by how small it was, only based on American tournaments that just seem massive all the time. So that's why. But again, I love a small event. I really do love the intimacy of a small event. And I loved what he was saying about how close you could be to players and like the game, because that's where the appreciation comes from. When you can actually see the sport up close and personal and you can see how it's played up close and personal, that's when you kind of start getting it. You're starting to appreciate points and how they all work and things like that. So thank you, Stephen, for sending us that voice note. That was awesome. Really, really loved hearing from you and letting us know about Toronto. And if you're listening to this, because we do have one more episode coming where we will wrap up the Canadian tournaments. If you're in Montreal and you would like to send us a voice note, send it to our email, groundpasspodcast@gmail.com. If you're in Montreal, to let us know about the tournament. All you need to do is send us the voice note. It has to be between 3 and 5 minutes long, and let us know your tips and tricks, what you think about the tournament, and all sorts of things. So yeah, we will be taking that. But let's dive into the tennis, because weirdly, when I was thinking about this episode and I was like, oh, what will we talk about? I didn't think there was much, but there's actually a lot to talk about, especially on the women's side. The women's tournament in Montreal has been giving. And I think it's because there are just so many interesting players playing each other super early in the tournaments these days. And let's talk about a few of them. First of all, I wanted to hit on Emma Raducanu, who left City Open playing well. And, you know, she kind of backed it up in Montreal. She got 2 good matches. She was stopped by Amanda Anisimova, who, by the way, she had never lost to before. But Amanda Anisimova was playing crazy tennis. That was some apps. I don't know who could have beaten that Amanda Anisimova.
I mean, to me, that's actually more of the story, because Emma playing well is good for Emma because, as you say, she's maintaining the momentum from a good tournament in Washington, and she's consistently winning a couple of matches a tournament, which is really, really important for her, not only as a sign of her fitness, but also as a way of getting her ranking up. Like, you need to be winning matches on a regular basis to be kind of ranked anywhere near top 10, to be honest. But Anisimova crushed Raducanu and played amazing tennis. And I think isn't given enough credit because, like, isn't being talked about enough that, like, she bounced back from, like, the worst way to lose a Grand Slam final of having no energy and winning no games. That was the last time we saw her on a tennis court. And she comes out and she plays her 3rd round match against Emma Raducanu, a person that she's never beaten, and crushes her, absolutely crushes her. So Amanda's kind of come back, she's not down about that loss. In anything, she's motivated.
Yeah. No, she, that was real domination there. And it was really nice to see. And I like that you brought up that Wimbledon loss, because that could have really derailed her whole year. I mean, it would have derailed my year. You know, I would have been thinking about that for a while, but it just seems like her turnaround has been so quick, and it's been really, really nice to see how she can just sort of mentally turn everything around and is better for it. So yeah, another person that had some great couple of matches at the City Open, and it was really nice to see, was Naomi Osaka. She made an announcement after the City Open that she was separating with her coach, Patrick Mouratoglou, which was really funny because I remember in one of our, you know, we have a daily Substack that I update every day. And I was watching one of Naomi's practices, and she was with her hitting partner and mostly practicing with that person during the tournament. And I remember mentioning, oh, she's practicing with her hitting partner because her coach, Patrick Mouratoglou, is not here for this tournament. Little did I know he was not going to be there ever again. But yeah, so she separated with her coach, Patrick Mouratoglou. And I'm going to let you pronounce this because I'm really bad at it. But Nick, not only has she come to Canada, continued playing well. We're going to talk about the match where she saved all those match points, but she has a new trial coach. Who did she pick, Nicholas?
Thomas Viktorovsky, who was the coach of Iga Swiatek this time last year. In fact, actually, I want to ask Anastasia something, because, like, you have more of a chance of remembering this, because I've been racking my brains about this. When did Naomi Osaka and Wim Fissette part company? When did they stop?
It was the end of last year, because she started with Patrick Mouratoglou in the off season because she came to Australia with Patrick.
Fissette was available for Iga to hire, and she hired him around the end of last year, so just before the WTA finals, I think.
Oh, so it had to be earlier.
Yeah, but I don't think he was that long unemployed. Basically, I want to make absolutely sure of this statement before I'm going to make a statement. I want to make absolutely sure.
Was it in Asia? It was either after the US Open or in Asia.
Okay, yeah, it was. You're right. It was 2020, end of 2024, September 2024.
So after the US Open.
Just after the US Open, and then he started working with Iga like a month or two later. So this time last year, Iga Swiatek was working with Thomas Viktorovsky.
Yes.
And Naomi Osaka was working with Wim Fissette.
Yes.
And they have now swapped coaches with each other. Like, this is full-on coach swap. That is the show the US Open should have gone with. More on that later. But and that's crazy to me. And like, it's interesting to me that's happening. I'm interested to see where the storyline kind of goes, because the whole thing about Iga hiring Wim Fissette was that he was going to kind of build on the work that Victorovsky did and kind of make her a bit more of a rounded player and unlock another level in her to keep her at the top of the game and unlock some things about her game that needed to be unlocked. Whereas Osaka's kind of looking to kind of realize her potential again, whereas that's what Victorovsky did for Iga.
Yeah.
Back in the day, like he helped her sort of lock down, become a bit more, I guess, like not mature, but drilled as a player and consistent. So it's going to be very interesting that that's kind of the effects that he seems to have already had on Naomi, given that she's now won a match that she would have probably lost like a couple of weeks ago against Samsonova, where she saves match points in the second set and wins the match. And then she's kind of crushed up Ostapenko, is going to be playing Sevastova today. Yeah, it's a really fascinating lineup, especially since Victorovsky doesn't usually coach non-Polish people. But hey, if Naomi Osaka's coming calling, then why would you say no? I mean, clearly Patrick Mouratoglou couldn't resist. Yeah, fascinating storyline there. And it'll be interesting to see if, Victorovsky can help Naomi sort of reach her potential again.
Yeah. And, you know, I think we as people just tend to sort of be like, she's all of a sudden having these good results and saving match points. It must be Victor. It must be, okay, you say it. Victorovsky? I said it wrong.
It's kind of like Viktorovsky. So like the W sound like V's.
Okay. And it might be too soon for him to have an effect on her game. But, you know, you can't deny that she is doing things that she literally wasn't doing a couple of weeks ago. So I'm very interested to see. He's already in the box. This is technically a trial period, but he's already in the box. He's pumped. He's so pumped. I loved seeing that video.
Trial period. I'd be shocked if he hadn't.
Huh?
I think he's past the trial. I'd be shocked if he hadn't.
I know. At this point, I'm sort of like, I think we're done with the trial, but technically, I think when it was announced, it was supposed to be till the US Open, but I feel like he passed. So yeah, I think it's really fun. It's exciting. I'm all for the whole coaching swap situation, and I truly cannot wait for Iga and Naomi to play again. That's all I want now. Draw gods, please. US Open gods, if you hear our prayer, you'll make this happen for us. Thank you. So we'll see how Naomi does for the rest of the tournament, but she is playing today as we record. So we'll see if she goes further in the tournament. We'll let you know in the next episode. So tune in then. Now we have to come to the star of the moment. The reason we are here recording today, Victoria Mboko. I mean, this is a movie. You know that meme where it's kind of like absolute cinema? This is that meme, because Victoria Mboko, 18 years old, Canadian, playing for the first time at a WTA 1000 level event in Canada, gets to the quarterfinals after beating Coco Gauff, who she's playing for the second time. Absolute cinema. What did you think of the match?
Loving it. The crowd were absolutely loving it in that match. Like, they obviously, you're going to back your home hero, aren't you? Especially when they're an underdog. And yeah, Victoria Mboko might just be a star in Canada now. We'll have to see how she does in Grand Slams, but I'm pretty optimistic that she's going to do well. And yeah, it was so exciting. And like, I was most impressed by the composure she showed in that match. Like, she dealt with Coco playing better in the second set really well. She saved break point where Coco could have got a break up in the second set with some great tennis. And then she handles being match point on Coco's serve really, really well. And she came out there and she's like, yep, sure, we're going to just punish every mistake Coco made. And she's in there, she's in the mix. And, you know, for a lot of the season, like, Mboko was starting being talked about by kind of in deep tennis fans when she started winning like a load of matches, like consistently winning titles on the lower levels of the tour, on the ITFs, because they don't really have the Challenger Tour in the same way in the women's side. And Then she gets to the main tour. And really, apart from one or two examples, she only ends up losing to top 10 players. Like, those were the only people who've really been beating her. And she's like, let's get over the fact she's just beat Coco Gauff, who was the world number 2. Like, that's big anyway.
Yeah.
She beat a top 10 player for the first time. She's now got over that hurdle of she can beat top 10 players now. And she's 18. Like, I think we've hyped up plenty of players over the years, and some have gone on to do really well and some haven't, and there's reasons for that. But I think for Mboko, there's a lot of justification for that hype. And now she's kind of proved it.
Yeah, no, totally. And, you know, we got to talk to her at the City Open. The interview is part of our Meet the Players series. I will include a link to that in the description of this podcast. And I think what struck me immediately is how poised and calm she is. Because I asked her, I was like, you know, you have all this attention on you. You're the new hot thing on the scene. How are you dealing with that? And she almost was like, she's like, I'm not even paying attention to that. I'm just playing my game and I'm just doing my own thing. And I thought that was so impressive for someone that young to not get into the hype of it all and just to stay within herself and do her own thing is, I think, very, very impressive. There is sort of like an adult mentality about that. But at the same time, the moment I started asking her about her Wilson outfit and like what she does outside of tennis, the moment she became an 18-year-old. You know what I mean? Like she was just so excited about her outfit and how cute it was. And, you know, when she's home, she just wants to go to the mall and eat, you know, so I liked that she had both, that she just wasn't sort of like drilled down and, you know, wasn't a kid anymore. She had that sort of maturity, but at the same time was still a kid. I'm really excited to see how far she can go. And even if she doesn't go further in this tournament, I think she's already done more than I think people thought she might. So that's really great.
A couple of things on that. She's got an interesting quarterfinal against Jessica Busash-Monero. So that's going to be a breakthrough win for whoever wins that match. Because Jessica's also been playing well this kind of last year and a bit, since Wimbledon last year. So she's on, like, that's a proper kind of ground passers match in a quarterfinal if you ever want to call it that. So I'm excited to see what the outcome of that is, regardless of who wins it. I kind of do hope it's Mboko, though, because that's going to make that semi-final really special, and that's going to mean that you have to watch her pretty much every big tournament now because she's got to the semi-finals of one already. And to me, it kind of justifies me dragging my mum to watch her match when we went to Wimbledon this year on Tuesday. I was like, Mum, I know that you probably don't know who this is, but we have to go and watch the end of this match that Mboko's playing, because this is probably the closest we're going to get to watching her. And starting to think I was right. She didn't resent it at all. She completely agreed with me once we watched her match.
Yeah. And that's actually a really great point to make, because I think, especially because I get it, you're spending so much money on a ticket for a tournament. You want to go see Carlos Alcaraz. You want to go see the big names. So you usually just head to the practice court, or you head to where you can see these big names. But someone else is on a tiny court watching Victoria Mboko while she was a lucky loser at Wimbledon. And now look at her. She just beat Coco Gauff and she's in the news. And you always have that story. I saw Victoria Mboko on this tiny court as a lucky loser. That was the match between Hailey Baptiste, right?
No, that was the match to decide who was going to play. Hailey Baptiste was actually on the court the other side. She was beating
the other side. Okay,
it was round one. I can't remember who her opponent was. Freck. I think it was Magdalena Freck.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, so, you never know who you're going to see. And I hope here at Ground Pass, we can help you pick those people to go see on a tiny court somewhere, because I know it's hard. They're like our top 100 players. So it can be hard to kind of narrow down who to see, but that's what we're here for. We watch a lot of tennis, so we can kind of guide you a little bit. And it's just so nice when one of these players finally actually make the hit and live up to the hype. And Victoria, and not only live up to the hype, but it looks like they have the potential to even take it further, which she looks like she does. Okay, before we jump into the ATP, Nick, I'm just going to run through a bunch of other women players really quick, and you're just going to tell me one or two things that you want to talk about, if anything. But, Iga Swiatek looking good. She hadn't played since Wimbledon, but she's just really looking good right now. McCartney Kessler, who we just did a Meet the Player story on, she got a few good matches. She's actually still in the doubles tournament with Coco Gauff. She's playing with Coco Gauff, so they're still in the doubles. They play today, I think, as well. Marta Kostyuk broke a really long losing streak. It was actually kind of interesting. I was surprised by how many matches she was losing, but she broke that losing streak, back playing well. And Karolina Mukova, knock on wood, is not hurt at the moment. So is doing okay. Do you want to mention anything about that group?
I think you kind of covered it. I mean, I love it. I keep forgetting about Coco Gauff, McCartney Kessler lineup, which is one of many great doubles lineups we've got going on at the moment. I think that's the ultimate kind of New Balance marketing team that they've got going there. Because it's their best two women's players. But yeah, I think Kessler kind of, she got a couple of good wins this tournament. I think she's someone worth talking about after that. And I'm just always happy to see Karolina Mukova on a tennis court. And she's not playing with a one-handed backhand anymore, which means she's feeling better. And she usually does pretty well around US hardcourt season. She has done the last couple of years. And in fact, I'm going to give you a live score update because then you know when she's recording. She is 6-4 on 1-up on Madison Keys as we record.
Okay. She's looking good. Look, the shot of the year last year was a shot that Karolina Mukova hit behind her back at the US Open last year. She does well during the US Open hardcourt swing for some reason. So
she's the semi-finalist the last 2 years at the US Open.
Yeah. So hopefully she can give us some of her best this summer. Okay, now to the ATP. This is going to be quick, guys. It's just not been giving what the women have been giving. And I don't know what it is about.
Can I ask you
that?
Why? And I know this is going to be sacrilege, given the kind of podcast that we have. Is it because we don't have Alcaraz, Sinner, Djokovic, those kind of names?
So before the tournament started, I would have said no. In fact, I did say no in the mini pod that I had with Ava Wallace. That was actually a really great episode. If you haven't watched it, go back and watch it. It's still relevant. I mentioned, we talked about it a little bit and I was like, it doesn't really matter. It's fine. It's still a great tournament just because you're missing Sinner, Alcaraz, Djokovic. But now I'm just sort of not quite sure why it's dull. And, I think we're also missing Draper. So because in theory, for me, that shouldn't be a problem. They are still players on the ATP tour that can be exciting. I feel like they're just not all playing well right now. Like it's kind of a mismatch. Like Mensik, whatever happened to him? He won Miami. What happened, my guy? He hasn't played well since Miami, in my opinion. Or, I don't know. It's just kind of odd. And maybe that is it. Maybe they're not there. Those 4 players that I just mentioned are not there. And it's kind of making it dull. Musetti, he's out early. But it's really...
You're onto something with maybe that, like, there are good players in there, but they're not happening to play well right now. Again, live score update. Francis Tiafoe's 6-2 down to de Minaur right now. And he's one of the most exciting players out there on his day. Side note, I forced my friend to watch a Francis Tiafoe match the other day, and he absolutely loved. He actually ended up really enjoying seeing Tiafoe win this first set because he was playing really well at that point in the match.
Yeah.
And was playing some really exciting stuff. So, yeah, it might be something to do with the fact that they aren't, because they're not as high ranked, you don't get their best stuff week in, week out in the same way as you do with Alcaraz and Sinner. So, and that's why the ranking is there. The ranking isn't representative of how good they are. The representative of how often they produce their best stuff. Yeah. So 1 means you produce it the most often, and 100 means you produce it 100th of the time. So that's why. So I think that's what we could look at. That to be said, there are some players who are providing entertainment, maybe not in the way that we expected. Like Alejandro Davidovich-Fokina. Like, he's always fun anyway because he's throwing himself all over the tennis court. But clearly he's not been in the mood to throw himself all over the tennis court. Possibly because apparently he doesn't like getting up early. That seems to be the vibe we're getting. He doesn't want to put in the effort off the court. He'll put in a load of effort on the court, don't get me wrong, because like he's been going to finals this year, but you know, when's he going to win that title, Anastasia? But yeah, you've been maybe it's due to he needs to make better choices off the court. Do you want to explain what I'm on about?
It's just so. If you don't know what's happening, Alejandro Davidovich-Fokina, he did one of those sort of Instagram notes post where you like post a message. And I remember seeing it and thinking, oh my goodness, what happened? You know,
because usually when players do that, they're injured or they're apologizing for something.
Exactly. So I'm sort of like, what's going on? He posted it in Spanish and English. Oh my goodness. Something's happening. So I read it, and basically he's saying, you know, he's really disappointed with the ATP because, you know, he's the only player who's playing at 11 a.m. in the morning. Everyone else is playing at 12 or 12:30. And he asked the ATP if they could change it. And they said no, that he had to play at 11 a.m. And I'm thinking, what? This deserves a note on Instagram? I was so scandalized. I thought, what in the world are you talking about, Alejandro Davidovich-Fokina? It was so ridiculous. And part of his complaint was, oh, I'm staying at a hotel an hour away from the site. That was your choice. There are hotels closer to the site. In fact, I know a doubles team who are staying right next to the site. So that was your choice, Alejandro Davidovich-Fokina. It was so ridiculous. And so ridiculous, in fact, that Dan Evans, you know, with not, you know, he wasn't kind about it, but Dan Evans reposted the message and basically called him out saying, there are people in the world who work 9 to 5 or 8 to 6, and they wake up early and can do their job. So just go on court and play tennis. And here's the thing. He showed up at 11 and he actually played phenomenal. He won in straight sets. So Alejandro, maybe you should be playing at 11 a.m. in the morning. You know, you never know.
You play
that was
better
one
at
of his
11
best
than you
matches.
You play better at 11 a.m. than you do at 11 p.m. Clearly.
Exactly.
So that's pretty out there. Also, to the level of like choice you're talking about, like I've seen stuff of like the players are given the choices of which hotels they're going to want to stay in, and like there's the one that's right next to the court is literally right next to the one that's an hour away. Like they've basically just got a choice of like, do you want to be near the tennis courts or do you want to be in the city? Because it is a little bit outside of Toronto, the event, a bit like how Miami is.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Yeah, but like, absolutely, like he literally had the two choices in front of him and that was what he went for. And maybe he's like, but you should have accounted for my choice in my scheduling. Like, it doesn't work like that. Sorry. Like, I wouldn't be accounting for that if I was running a tournament.
No. And also, 11 a.m. is not early. Like, I understand that players need warm-up time. They need to get there earlier or whatever. But even if you needed 2 hours of prep, you need an hour to get there. And let me just give an hour for, you know, miscellaneous, you know? So what? That means you have to get up at 8 a.m.? Am I doing my math correctly?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so 8 a.m.? You can't get up at 8 a.m.? What are you doing, Alejandro Davidovich-Fokina?
I can barely get up at 8 a.m. some days.
I just feel like it was not the sort of thing to put on Instagram like you had broken a femur or something. So, yes.
Hey,
that
maybe
was definitely
this rage will fuel him to a tournament, to winning the title.
You know, hopefully. Let's see if it does it, because he's definitely had some close ones. You know, we didn't really talk about it because we recorded the last mini pod I recorded before the final happened. But I remember watching the Del Rey final and thinking, wow, that is a really tough loss for ADF. Like, how could he have lost that one? And then he did it again. Don't know how you recover from those sort of losses. And I think you only kind of know if you've recovered from a loss like that if you're put in that position again. So let's see if he gets to the final here or anything like that, and see if he can sort of finally get over the line, because he's been great all season. He has some of the best stats this season of any male player. So it would be nice to see him get over the line. You know who I was surprised to see in the draw, actually? Arthur Fils, the King of New York.
Yeah, I texted you about this. Like,
yes,
when was the comeback on? Like, he got injured in France. Like, I guess that's enough time to recover from, what was it, a vertebrae stress fracture?
Yeah, like a stress fracture in his back.
Yeah, and he's playing, like, when was Roland Garros? Like, end of May, beginning of June?
Yeah. So
yeah.
I guess it's been
2 months.
2 months?
I guess that 2 months went quick.
Wow.
6 weeks.
Yeah, because I guess when you say it out loud, 2 months, I'm like, oh, wow, that is a while. But at the same time, I actually didn't really think he would be back till the US Open. So I'm actually surprised that he's back.
I guess we are pretty close to the US Open. We've just lost track of time with all the tennis.
Yes, we totally did. He's out of the singles, but he's still in the doubles. It is nice to see him back on court, though. He's a lot of fun to watch. He's playing well. You know, I think a lot of times when players come back like this from injury, there is that sort of dusting off the rust kind of time period, but he seems to be picking up where he left off and playing very well. So that's nice to see. That's really nice to see for sure. What else? Who else is doing well? Well, I'll save this last one for my player of the fortnight. So stay tuned to that. But speaking of the doubles, just to hit on the doubles really quick in Canada, Arthur Fils in doubles is playing with Ben Shelton. And that is a fun team. They're having an excellent time on court. I think a lot of people were, when Ben Shelton paired up with Tiafoe in City Open, I think everyone was saying like, oh, that's a fun team. No. This team wins. Arthur Fils, Ben Shelton, that's the funner team.
Have you watched any of their matches? I don't think I've managed to catch any of them. I think they've been at the wrong time.
Yes, I watched the last one where they beat Roger Vasselin and who's his partner. A really great doubles team. They crushed a doubles team. Is it Vasselin and Nice? NYS? Right. How do you say it?
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. And they played very well. They pair up pretty well. I think Shelton actually pairs up better with Fils than he does with Tiafoe. And they're just fun. They were like interacting with the crowd. The crowd looked like they were having a good time. And that's what doubles should be. Yes, it's a valid part of the competition for sure. But they really did get the crowd involved and everyone just seemed to have a fun time.
Who's Shelton got on the mixed doubles at the US Open?
Taylor Townsend.
That's going to be fun.
So fun. They've already played once before. 2 years ago they played. That was, all of their matches were just a party, basically. Yeah. So yes, another doubles team, which they just won the City Open. Taylor Townsend and, how do you say her name? Zhang Shui. They're back again for Canada and they're in the semifinals already. Great pairing.
Clearly Townsend's got a good backup if Siniakova doesn't want to play with her.
Yeah.
Siniakova's not in the doubles at the moment. I think she's taking a break.
Yeah, she played, I don't know if it was a 250 or a 125.
Yeah, she's playing 125 this week. She played 250 last week.
Okay, yeah. So she's doing a lot of singles stuff, actually. Interestingly, actually.
So that'd be why. So Townsend needed a partner. So, hey, I guess, look, no offense to Zhang Shui, like she and Taylor clearly work together really well. But if you've got a chance to play with Katerina Siniakova, you've got to go with that.
You have to go with that as well.
But I do think that Taylor and Shui would actually, hold their own against Siniakova, whoever she played with. So
yeah, that's
fun. They seem to be having a lot of good success. Also having a lot of success, Barbora Krejcikova and Yelena Ostapenko as a double team, which nobody saw coming. Krejcikova's playing less doubles at the moment, but clearly needs to get some matches under her belt. And it seems to be working for her and Ostapenko because they just beat Irani and Paolini. They
did. But here's a question for you, because I don't know if you know. I'm kind of confused because isn't Ostapenko playing with Hei Shui?
Yes.
Because Hei Shui is also in the tournament though, but with Danilovic.
I'm hearing rumors they may have split up, but I don't know why.
Okay.
Or if that's true, or if they're just having a break.
Interesting. Because they're pretty high up in the rankings, in the sort of rankings to get to the finals, but it would be an odd time to split if you want to make it to the finals. But
Maybe
anyway.
they didn't take losing the Wimbledon final very well.
Probably. Yeah. That was tough. But Veronika Kudermetova won. So
And that's all that matters.
That's all that matters to me. Okay, well, that was Canada. That is Canada for now. Canada still continues. We will finish and wrap up Canada in our next episode. After our little break, we'll be back to talk about Cincinnati.
Summer's here, and it's time to bring the heat in a new Honda. Head out on an unforgettable adventure. Or take a sporty sedan for a spin. All while driving with confidence. Check out the Civic, Accord, or HR-V during the Honda Summer Event.
See dealer for financing details.
Yeah. We're going to talk about Cincinnati now. This is, as you say, Anastasia, it starts on Tuesday with qualifying. It's overlapping with Canada. And I think the main draw starts on Thursday, which is the same day as the Canada finals, which is crazy. But hey, I guess that would work on I think the only reason it's weird is because it's on a Thursday, because that does happen on like other tournaments, like when we used to have 1,000 starting one after the other. So it's not that crazy to have one tournament starting as soon as the other's coming to an end. But kind of stay tuned. We do have a proper look at sort of what's going on in the actual Cincinnati draw in terms of who's playing, kind of coming out as a separate thing. So stay tuned for that, particularly on our Instagram and TikTok. But Anastasia, you've got a lot of information about the coverage we're going to be doing of Cincinnati, because I say we're doing a lot. In reality, is you're doing a lot, and I'm just going to sit back and admire it.
It's we, Nick. It's a team effort. It's a team effort for sure.
I'm giving you the credit that you deserve.
But yes, I am going to be heading over to Cincinnati to cover the tournament for a few days, which is crazy. It's when I got back from City Open, I thought, great, I have some time. I have some time to relax and get ready for Cincinnati. And then I looked at the calendar and I was like, oh, Cincinnati's like tomorrow. Great. Awesome. But as you're listening to this, Cincinnati does start tomorrow. I will be there covering it. I'm very excited to cover it because it's completely different from when I went last year. Last year, I actually went for the qualifying. So I was there for the 2 days of qualifying, which was very exciting. Back then, it was still a 1 week event. So I went on a Saturday and a Sunday, and it was qualifying weekend, and it was really exciting. It was the first time I'd ever been to a live draw. The grounds were very beautiful. I've just released on our website, our tournament guide. You know, we've started doing these tournament guides. There's one out for City Open. Now there's one out for the Cincinnati Open. And it's basically my account of that time that I was there. I've kind of called it a little bit of a time capsule because it's a review of a venue that doesn't exist anymore. I hope it does give you the vibe of what the Cincinnati Open is. And I think their aim is to keep that vibe and improve on it a little bit. Like, for example, what I talk about in the review is their practice court situation was not great. The practice courts were, one, very small, and then very packed and crowded. So I remember going to a Carlos Alcaraz practice, and it was so packed. And at that point, it's not even fun anymore because, you know, there are just too many people around and all that. So they've made more practice courts. It seems like from the pictures I've seen, it looks more like the US Open vibe where the seating is up top and you kind of like they're elevated and you look down onto the practice court. It seems a lot more streamlined. So that should be exciting to look at. But yes, you can check out our City Open guide. I'll leave a Cincinnati Open guide. Sorry. I'll leave a description, a link to the guide in the description of this podcast so you can take a look at it. But yeah,
You
excited
keep
to
getting
do.
City Open and Cincinnati Open mixed up.
I know. I keep saying City and Cincinnati, but why are they both have C's? And anyway, it's fine. It's okay. But yeah, if you don't know already, I know we say it all the time, but when I'm at tournaments, we do sort of like a daily dispatch. I've also started calling it a dispatch, like I'm in, I don't know, Casablanca.
You are Lois Lane working for the Daily Planet for tennis.
Yes, but that's a good one. I am Lois Lane working for the Daily Planet of Tennis. I love that. That is awesome. But yes, I do daily dispatches from the ground on our Substack, which I really love doing. They live on our Substack. Our Substack is free to subscribe to, so please do that. You can also become a paid subscriber as well if you want to support my coffee habit, because coffee is expensive, just so you know. If you didn't know.
Just to be clear, the level of coffee Anastasia requires, she had to delay the recording of this podcast because she hadn't had enough coffee yet. And before you think, oh, it's fine, you're probably recording really early in the day, New York time. No. This is middle of the day. So if you need to, I would highly suggest that Anastasia needs some help. But in the meantime, giving it more coffee will probably suffice.
I feel exposed.
Hey, you're the editor. You can cut this bit out if you want.
Oh, man. But Nick is not lying. It's almost 2 p.m. And yes, I made a coffee for the podcast. Don't judge me. I love coffee. Anyway, but yeah. Excited. I've already started seeing, social media posts. Sinner is in Cincinnati already. There are players landing in Cincinnati already. So it should be very, very exciting. I don't know. Are you looking forward to anything specific from Cincinnati? Like Nick, for example, what would you want me to tell you about Cincinnati?
I mean, it's very difficult for me to answer that question because Cincinnati is not easy for me to get to. And maybe this should be a conversation we have at the sort of the end of the US summer swing, which is which US tournaments would Anastasia most recommend Nick attend, because Nick has to fly from the UK to go to.
I love that.
Now, to be honest, I know what the answer is going to be, is that it's all of them because they're all great. So essentially, I just want to see what would get an idea of watching on TV, what the vibe is going to be like when I get there. Because, I try and sort of work it out, but it's very difficult to work out from TV, especially since it can distort the picture a bit, like in terms of the scale. It's going to be very hard for it to compete with Indian Wells in terms of the allure for me. I'm going to be honest. Okay. It's set a high standard. But yeah, whether that conversation happens on air or off air, tune in to find out, I guess. But that's what I'm kind of looking for. I'm just going to watch as much good tennis as I can, given the time zone, and see what this new venue is all about and how it all looks to me on the TV.
Awesome. Yes. No, I will attempt to. And I think that's what actually the daily dispatches do, because there's a video element to it. And a lot of times I'm just sitting on the grounds, so you get to see the surroundings. I try to change my location every day, so you get to see the surroundings a bit, because you're right. Even when I was trying to go to tournaments, I would look online and be like, are they photos, video, anything that I can see of this tournament showing me what it's going to look like? And the crazy thing about Cincinnati Open, it's going to be mostly all new. I know they're keeping some. Obviously, the center court is still the same. The grandstand is still the same. And I hear, thankfully, they're keeping court 10, which, if you don't know court 10 is their sunken court. And when I went last year was my favorite, so I hear that remains. And they've now added another sunken court. So now I want to see which sunken court I'm going to like the best. Either way, I'm really excited to go. Again, you'll find it all on Ground Pass on site, which is on our Substack. But also, because of you kind people on YouTube who have subscribed, you've liked, you've watched our videos, thank you so much. We are so grateful. We are now part of the YouTube partner program. We now have memberships, so you can become a member of our channel. Nick, wow. You can become a member of Ground Pass. YouTube
That
channel.
moved quick. That was
So
quick.
crazy. Do you know when that happened? That happened at City Open. And I was just too like busy to like process until I got back to New York. And then I was like, oh my goodness, like, because I got the email and they're like, congratulations, you qualify to be a YouTube creator partner. And I was like, cool. So this is all new to us. Thank you all for watching. And I've definitely been getting a lot more comments, and it's been fun answering all of those and talking to you guys on there. So thank you. Keep them coming. Let us know what you want to see more of, what you like. We definitely have more videos coming your way as well. I am but one person, so it does take a minute for me to edit everything and do that. So it will slowly filter through. But yes, if you want to become a member, there are different perks you can get. You will be getting our show notes, for example, so you can see what we talk about and what we don't talk about, because it actually is very interesting, Nick. Every time I go back, I'm like, oh, we were supposed to talk about that, and then we didn't. We forgot. So you can see those as well. I will be sending photos and videos only for members, and I'll be posting those on YouTube. And you will also get the daily vlogs that I post on Substack. I will also post that for members on YouTube as well. So for the price of a coffee, you can become a YouTube member and fund my habit, because as Nick has exposed me, now you just know that my life is coffee.
Terrified by how much coffee we're just giving Anastasia at this point.
You know what? At the City Open was the first time this year that I actually had a moment where I was like, we have a problem. We probably need to slow down on the coffee. I was like, the first 2 days, I think I had 4 cups in the morning, and it was
You have enough coffee for both of us, because as I have shared with Anastasia before, and she's shocked to hear this, I don't drink coffee.
That's not real. That's not a real thing.
She has hers and mine, and I'm happy with that.
I don't know. Who doesn't drink coffee? Like, that's just weird. Anyway, this is why we're co-hosts, because we're different. So it works. Okay, the last thing we have to talk about, well, actually 2 things. One thing really quickly. There is one more thing. Like, we're now YouTube members. It's really great. There's one more thing that I just want to tease. We might be releasing something close to the US Open time. We can't say what, because it's not real yet. When it's real, you will know about it. So follow us on social media, because that's probably where it will be released first. But yes, follow us on social media if you're not already, because that's probably where it'll be real first. Excited about it, but also scared. Excited, but scared. And I think that's a good thing. It's good to be excited and scared at the same time.
Anastasia told me what it is just before we started recording, and I am kind of hyped for this if it happens, because it's definitely not 100% guaranteed yet, but I'm kind of here for it. So I hope this happens, and I hope this has intrigued you enough that this announcement won't feel like a letdown.
Hopefully. Okay, last topic before we jump into Player of the Fortnight. We have to talk about the US Open dating show.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things that, like, do we have to talk about it? Because I hate that this thing exists, and I find it's a really dumb thing. But on the other hand, it's one of those things that's like, it is going to get attention. It was actually talked about on, no, it was mentioned, no, I was listening to Served. And they mentioned it on that, and they got clarified, because, like, from the social media post, I couldn't work out what it was. And then when they explained what it was, I felt a little better about it. But I'm still not, I guess it's going to be like, it's going to depend very much on how they do it and what kind of, like, how mainstream this is going to go. Because if you're just going to watch it on the US Open's, like, channels, social channels, I don't think it's going to have the impact they want it to. Whereas if it went out on some kind of major broadcast event that then got people deciding to watch the tennis off the back of it, like, is it ESPN that's got the US Open?
Yeah, ESPN.
So whoever the sister network is, if they were showing that and going, it's like, oh, you can go watch the US Open on ESPN, that would make sense to me. Just in case it was like a lot of casual people going, oh, okay, that's just happening at the US Open. Let's go and check it out. Let's go visit. So I don't know if you know more information about that, but even then, as a marketing decision, it's a choice.
I'm going to pick up on one of the good things you said in that sentence, and that was served, because I just actually want to mention, Served is Andy Roddick's podcast, and they just did an episode where they interviewed Iga Swiatek. It's a really good interview. I'm going to leave a link in the description of this podcast. I really enjoyed that interview, and they have other good interviews. They tend to interview a lot of players, bigger name players, because we interview players too, obviously. But they do a really good job of it, and I really enjoyed their interview with Iga Swiatek, so you should watch it as well. Back to the dating show. Yeah, it's just... So basically, if you haven't seen this, the US Open announced this dating show thing where I think this woman who she's like a fitness coach, is going to go on, it's basically type of a dating type show where she'll go on a few dates during the US Open and pick one at the end, I guess. And it's going to be airing on their social channels. So I'm guessing only either their Instagram or YouTube. I know for sure it's not going to be on ESPN. Like that I can tell you now. They're not going to put that because no, it's not going to go there. It's too low stakes, because the first thing I thought when this was released was, who is that? Like, who is that? I have no idea who that is. And I'm someone who, I know a lot of people in the fitness world. Because I work out a lot. I just know the world a lot. And I just had no idea who that was. And I had a few people reach out to me asking who is that? And I was like, I don't know. And she's a fitness instructor at a studio called Solid Core, which is a big kind of Pilates type studio. She has under 10,000 followers on Instagram. And I'm like, I know tons of fitness instructors with way more followers. So I just don't understand the marketing, because if you want to talk strictly, okay, we're doing this as a marketing ploy to get more people to pay attention to the US Open. I feel like you would pick someone with a little bit more name recognition, or someone...
You could have picked Leylah Fernandez, who was clearly up for a date.
She was already doing it. She was doing it on her own.
We're much more interested in Leylah Fernandez and how that went.
Exactly. Like, she was doing it on her own. I just don't understand where this is coming from, only because of how random it seems. Because if they had picked someone who was a known influencer, like someone, even a known influencer in the tennis world, and there are a lot, like they're known female influencers that you could have picked and said, hey, do you want to do this dating show? And at least it would have made sense. But just to pick a random sort of fitness instructor, I don't know who the guys are, to then air on your social media channels, but like how? It just, I'm fine with the mixed doubles championships. I think it is really good to experiment with the model. I think trying to get the singles players to be involved in it, I'm all fine with that, because I think it's not, first of all, like we've said before in this, mixed doubles doesn't exist anywhere else except for Grand Slams, the Olympics, United Cup, the cups, So it's not like they were sort of bastardizing a category that is throughout the year on the tour. So I was kind of fine with that. Sure, experiment with that, see how it goes. If fans like it, like grow it, make it better. I'm not too much of a fan of the scoring. I don't mind it because I like Next Gen. So it's kind of like the same thing they're doing with Next Gen. It's all fine. But this, I don't understand. I don't get it.
No.
I don't.
Okay, I'm going to say something, because there might be some people listening to us who think we are being a little bit snobbish in terms of our viewing tastes, because I don't watch dating shows. I don't know whether
Neither
Love
do I.
Island...
Hand up. Neither do I.
You don't either. So I don't know whether Love Island has made its way over to the States or not, but this is a thing that gets talked about amongst people I work with and I know, and is a topic of conversation. And people do talk about it because that does have a potential for getting a lot of views on a network show. So if you're listening and you're like, but I like those kind of shows, more power to you. You're probably in the majority here. I think my perspective, and I think yours as well, Anastasia, someone who maybe works more in that kind of industry in terms of the creative industry, is even I can get over this being an idea that is not my cup of tea or cup of coffee. I can get over it on that basis of do you know what? A lot of people like it. I'm okay with that. You're allowed to like it. I'm not going to judge you for liking it because most people I know do. Even then, judging by what you're saying, Anastasia, even if I was all for this idea, this is, regardless of what you think of it, it's done badly.
Yeah.
You've done the concept badly. That is the main problem. And that's our main critique of it, not the concept of doing a dating show based around the US Open, which, although I don't like the idea of dating shows, I don't have a problem with people watching them or the fact they exist. And I do think it had potential if you did it right. But I don't think it's being done right.
No, that is so, so well said. Like, that's such a great way to wrap it up because you're right. I don't watch dating shows. But like I said, there's no kind of, they didn't pick the right person. People don't know who this person is. So marketing wise, I just don't know who's sort of like clicking to be like, yes, I want to see that person and them get a date. Like, you know,
yeah.
It
and again,
makes no
you're not going to reach, I highly doubt the people who are going to watch the US Open socials. I think they're going to be hardcore tennis fans who are there to watch the tennis highlights.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you're putting it on the wrong platform.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, if you were just also then just trying to reach casual people, that person you've picked to be the star of the show is not popular enough to draw in casual people. Like, she just doesn't have a following. People don't know who that is. Again, I don't know who thought of this and who cast it at all. So those are my feelings on that. We'll see how it goes. We will see how it goes.
At Emory University, we believe in those with the ambition to achieve, the passion to learn, and the optimism to see the possibilities ahead. Founded on a belief that the wise heart seeks knowledge, and Emory education combines experiential learning in Atlanta and beyond with unrivaled collaboration and discovery, all to prepare you for a world that needs your leadership. Learn more at emory.edu.
Legendary reliability, excellent resale value. Check out Toyota's amazing lineup of affordable trucks, like the rugged full-size Tundra or off-road ready Tacoma. Visit buyatoyota.com for more. Toyota, let's go places.
So, we have come to the player of the fortnight. It is time. It is time for the player of the fortnight and a bit of a rant from me.
Yeah. Do you want to do the rant before or after me? Do you know what? I feel like whatever I do is going to get overshadowed by it. So do you mind if I go first and get mine done really quickly, and then we can get to the Anastasia monologue to close us out?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay. My player of the fortnight is the most painfully obvious choice of all time, but I have been waiting for an opportunity to pick this person for player of the fortnight, and after last night, it kind of has to be Victoria Mboko, because, like, I was fighting to see how a ground pass at Wimbledon, and the reason why I didn't pick her before for other things is because other players had an amazing sort of time at whatever tournament I could have picked her at. Now there is no other option. Like, Victoria Mboko is a long way from being seeded anywhere, and that's if she somehow wins Canada. So she's still going to be very much a ground pass opportunity to watch the US Open. She will be in the main draw because she did just about qualify after Wimbledon. So go watch her. Go watch this amazing talent that's coming through if you can. Like, if she draws another unseeded player that's not a big name, she's going to be on an outside court. Go fight for a space to watch her. She hits the ball so very cleanly and consistently, amazingly. For a player of her age and stage in her development, she's streets ahead of where, like, so many established players. So many, and definitely any other player I've seen of her age, barring Mira Andreeva. So, you know, definitely go watch her. She is the star. She's broken through. She's finally got that top 10 win. The sky's the limit for Victoria Mboko. Go see her before she ascends too high.
Great pick. I mean, you're right. Pretty obvious, but still awesome, awesome pick. My player of the fortnight. We haven't talked about all episode yet, but my player of the fortnight is the current defending champion of Canada, Alexei Popyrin. Alexei Popyrin won Canada last year, and he is now into the quarterfinals of this year's Canadian Open, which is the guys are playing in Toronto. Now, the reason why I picked him is because he's an unlikely quarterfinalist. If anyone could have told you that Alexei Popyrin would have made it to the quarterfinals, people would have probably been like, not really. He had a young Canadian wild card in the first round. Then he had Daniil Medvedev in the next round, and then Holger Rune in the round. So those are pretty two tough players to get through to get to the quarterfinals. He's playing really well. He has a new coach this year, Wayne Ferreira, who coached, he was with Jack Draper for a bit. He coached Francis Tiafoe for a long time. So definitely one of sort of the big name coaches, and he's now taking on Alexei Popyrin. And they've been doing okay. I don't think you could say Alexei Popyrin has had a great year, but he has come into the Canadian Open with a lot of momentum and really has been playing very, very well. When Alexei Popyrin is on, he is on. And he has had some great moments throughout his career. Kind of, the peak was hit when he won the Canadian Open last year. And it kind of shows what he can do, what he's capable of when he's playing at his top level. My rant, you might ask, what is it? Well, Alexei Popyrin won the Canadian Open last year. And for me, he played excellently. He played so well. He beat everyone in front of him. And he beat some top players to win the title. I think, if I remember correctly, he beat Andrei Rublev in the finals to win. And maybe it's an exaggeration to say every, but at least everything I listened to, every podcast I listened to, things that I read, everything was just like, oh, well, Alexei Popyrin won the Canadian Open because it's an Olympic year. Because, there wasn't that much competition. First of all, there was a lot of competition at the tournament. But also, I hate that sentiment of this person won because. They won this because. That's not sport. You beat who's in front of you, because we're very sort of willing to accept upsets, but then at the same time, we're sort of like, well, that person won only because they didn't have that, they didn't have a great field of players, or they didn't beat a top 10 player to get to the final or to win the tournament or anything like that. But at the same time, when someone outside of the top 50 beats a top 2 player, oh, it's an upset. So which is it? I don't like the sentiment of diminishing people's hard work and wins because, they're not a big name or a top player or things like that. Alexei Popyrin did very well to win the tournament last year. And I think he's proved a lot of people wrong by making it to the quarterfinals this year. He gets Alexander Zverev next, which is another tough match for the quarterfinals. So let's see how he goes. But he's my player of the fortnight. He's doing very, very well to try and defend a lot of points. Those are a lot of points that he has to defend in this tournament. And he's defending them well. So that is my player of the fortnight.
Playing really, really well last year. So,
yeah.
He deserves it. And you're right. You beat who's in front of you. And, it doesn't matter how they're playing or who they are. That's the standard you have to beat. And I think Sinner was in that draw.
Yes, Sinner was in the draw.
Year. He was. And I'm pretty sure Rublev beat him. So he beat the guy who beat Sinner, that draw.
Exactly.
That's as close as you can get without actually beating Sinner. I think people accept upsets. I think there's a sense of frustration that people succeed without having the chance to have an upset. But at the same time, that would involve everyone playing every week, which doesn't really, probably shouldn't happen. So,
right.
I think Popyrin deserves that title. He's clearly backing it up with that quarterfinal run. And can show he's a match for anyone. He's got odd moments over the last sort of year or so where he's lived up to it. Be interested to see if he's still seated at the US Open. Might be a bit of a fight for him. I think well chosen. And we'd still say go and check out an Alexei Popyrin match if you can.
Yeah, totally. Okay. We did it. We completed the long episode. We have done it. Thank you so much for joining us for this one. Hope you enjoyed it. It was really, really great. Had a lot of fun, Nick, recording this one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Definitely had a lot of fun. I always have fun with you, Anastasia. So let's do this again in a couple of weeks.
Yes, totally. We might be recording when I am in Cincinnati. I still have to look at the calendar. I'm not sure yet, but I might be in Cincinnati during our next recording. Again, said it at the top of the show. We'll say it again. Please give us a 5-star review. Leave us a comment wherever you're listening to this podcast. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Maybe become a member. You know, I'm going to try and cut down on the coffee, guys. I'm going to try. Can't promise anything at the moment, but we'll see what we can do. Until next time, thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.
Listen up! You can get the new iPhone 16e with Apple Intelligence for just $49.99 when you switch to Boost Mobile. We pulled so many all-nighters to give you this deal, and hey, stop messing with the mic!
I'm just helping us catch people's attention. This is a great deal!
Exactly, so it doesn't need all that.
Fine.
Head to your nearest Boost Mobile store right now.
Visit your nearest Boost Mobile store for full offer details. Apple Intelligence requires iOS 18.1 or later. Restrictions apply.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
Hey, it's Christy.
And I'm Kelly.
You might remember us as the OG partners in crime from Dance Moms.
Well, this is Back to the Bar, the podcast where we drag out every insane, chaotic, and iconic moment from the show.
We're spilling the tea, calling out all the BS, and sharing stuff you definitely didn't see on TV.
New episodes drop every week, and yes, we're laughing through the drama.
For once. Follow, grab a drink, and join us as we go back to the bar.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.